these. I'll show you the actual, they're called gua shas. I'm sure you've heard of them. They're amazing. I'm MJ. I do these readings. I've recently come back into doing some live readings. So we're here for it. We're gonna do we will pull some cards. You're welcome to ask questions, but I'm not particularly tuned into the comments. Mainly because for years when I was going live, trolls would come along and then kind of just distract the flow. And I do want to get a reading out for the collective. So my intention with tarot is divine guidance and loving clarity. I'm an intuitive reader. I'm an intuitive practitioner. I'm a longtime yoga meditation teacher. I still teach lots of yoga and meditation. I do tarot readings with my clients. And a lot of it is that sort of centering ourselves, that dominion, that kind of masterful energy of being able to center ourselves, detach from things that aren't, relevant, and be able to manage our energy, manage our emotions, work with them rather than living in denial of them. Often is that the societal culture, which to me is part of the underlying psycho-spiritual wound and the sickness really of our species on this planet, the kind of overconsumption, addictive nature via capitalism, essentially. But whatever term you put it on, it's us that has to change and evolve, right? We can't expect the buildings to evolve and change. We can't expect the systems or money to evolve and change. It's us. We, the people on the planet, are the ones that are creating everything. So if there's aspects of our reality, externally speaking, that we objectify, it's not those things that need to change. People talk about the climate. I'm like, well, climate, whatever your belief system with regards to climate change, to me, the very simple fact that there's a massive buildup of plastic in the ocean, that's our overconsumption. It's trash. It's our trash. And so call it climate change or not, we are over consuming to the point of creating trash islands in our beautiful oceans that are potentially destroying our oceans. Call it what you like. We're being irresponsible. Like, that's, to me, it's that, like, we can call the future whatever we like, or we could call our problems whatever we like, and yet it's about facing them, internalizing it to then make effective change, right? To grow something different, to do something very, very different. What up? Okay, so we're gonna get into the cards. Check out the merch. Check out the meditation vibration. You guys, get a hold of your vibration, okay? I mean, don't worry, because there's also the vibratories. My people, they know that when I check in with people, I go, how's the vibratories? Rather than like, how are you, darling? How's the vibratories, It's like checking in. I don't know. I'm not sure. Okie dokie. Divine guidance and loving clarity. Hala, 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 hala. Divine guidance and loving clarity. Yeah, I'm an intuitive reader. So the way I draw the cards, the way I pull the cards, the way I'm reading them, it's all intuitive. But I'm always somebody who wants to give you your power back. I don't have any power over you. The cards definitely don't have power over you. But the messaging could be relevant to your journey, right? Like many of us as channels, we just have created the space and allowing that messaging to come through. And then the receiver is like, I needed to hear that, or like I couldn't see that. That's all. I had a psychic reading recently, and it's just fascinating to me. She's like, are you a reader? She basically described my whole apartment and then was like, are you a reader? Cottage, pardon me. I said, yeah, I use the tarot. And she's like, because I kept hearing the readings that you do. So anyway, divine guidance, love, and clarity. What? I do normally have people who, like moderator people who come along. Nobody's arrived yet, but that's okay. So far, we've got 2 major arcanas. Some of y'all are having success coming out of the blue after following an inner call. Like you did something to break free. Chariot to me is a little bit like having a spiritual guide, having a spiritual awakening, or Just heeding a call to me is often like an intuitive thing because it's not obvious. It's not like I got a job and I'm gonna go to that job. And this is a little bit more like spiritual. I just have to go to that thing, and then you go and you do the thing, and then you're like, oh my God, there's success here. I for some reason I'm feeling like it is a creative thing or a benevolent thing, like a missionary thing, or I have to, go to Cambodia and build houses, or I have to go to this other country, or I've just got to go to a different state, and I don't know, it's your life, right? So, and then there's some sort of successful recognition that comes out of this, you heeding the call. And I'm feeling this is still like a Neptunian signature, but for us to like be one with the unknown, allow the unknown, be okay about uncertainty, boom, success. So the chariot is moving you forward. The success feeling, the success energy, moon comes out the blue. You're not going to see this coming. It comes from the dark. Like you're in it. You're riding your steed. Here you are. You're still riding, and suddenly you're like, "Oh, hey, friends. Oh, thanks. Cheers." Like there's some sort of accolade, recognition, success. Six of Wands, just a beautiful success energy, and yet it kind of comes out of nowhere, but not out of nowhere because you've taken the call. You feel me? You've taken the call, which is moving you forward. The reason the goodness comes out of nowhere is because you're not in control. You just followed this internal guidance, and then you're like, holy shit, I didn't realize this is where it was leading me. For some of you, this could be indicative of fame and recognition, maybe. Divine guidance, love and clarity. What are the messages for this live reading? We are in January still. Divine guidance on love and clarity. For some of you, yeah, it's work related, but it's like investment related, and I feel like this is like, these are ideas that you've been probably like brewing on for a while. You also might get a message from someone that you've not been like talking to very much. Somebody who's been closed off could send a message. It's not necessarily like massively positive. It could be even like a passive message that you're like, have you seen that? It's different memes with faces. Whoa. Sorry, I don't know why I find that funny. Page of sword, reverse, a message. I'm also getting, somebody could be spying on you. The page of sword, I often think of like the mind and potential for mental manipulation or like deception. They're in the reverse. They were keeping their eye on you. They're keeping things close to their chest. Who is this person? Like, geez. Somebody who wants a new beginning with you. But then that makes me think, if they want a new beginning, who'd they be? Like, who are they? They come from your past, perhaps? Also, here's the thing. It's like, oh, look, you're doing really well and you're succeeding, and like maybe you're getting a bit of fame or recognition out of nowhere. It's like, oh, hey. And then somebody comes back being like, hey, how are you doing? And you're like, well, I'm actually doing really, 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 really well. Thank you very much. And they're like, oh, and they suddenly want to be a part of that, or like suddenly curious about your life. It's like, how dare ye go and be successful? Sorry, just the voices today. I'm not sorry, but I'm kind of taking the piss a bit. So Ace of Wands, there's somebody coming back. They want a new beginning. I mean, this is substantial. They've kept things closed. They've kind of observed. But something feels sticky. I'm like, be weird. Like, as in, just hold your own, because you've done this. You've created this. You did put the work in. So somebody, especially if somebody bailed mid work or mid vision or mid something, and they just, I get a mixed vibe around this person's integrity. Okay, so if it resonates, somebody's leaping around and the message feels a bit off skis, but they're all like, oh, I would be mindful. They want something. Well, yeah, they want a new beginning, but they're also, this person just does, I don't feel like I want to trust them. That's all. Page of Sword. Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. Ugh. You know that feeling when you realize that like people are watching? People are watching, but they don't engage. They don't like, they don't comment. They don't and if you didn't it's like you find out. You're like, oh yeah, I can see that you're doing, like, oh, interesting that you can see that I'm doing really well, because I wouldn't know, because you don't comment, you don't like, you don't share, you don't do any of that shit. So it's like they're supporting or observing from behind the scenes. And I'm always a bit like, I don't know, do you really support me, or are you just watching? Because let's be real, people, the human psyche, our wonderful human behavior is that I wish we lived in a world, same, me too, like I wish we lived in this world where we could be joyful for one another, and we just want each other to be happy and joyful and well. Wouldn't it be nice if our world leaders like genuinely wanted our well-being? Hi. Anyway, but I get that, and this person, I just don't get a sense of huge integrity, and they've been watching you, and they've been watching you progress, and they've been watching you rise, and they're seeing the rising, being like, oh, hey, oh my God, you're doing really well suddenly. I shouldn't have fucking bailed on you 6 months ago. Like, and yeah, if I'm honest, this is Pentacle, this is Wand, and this is Sword. This is no Cup. This is not an emotional type of connection, or it's very transactional, or it's business related, or, like, and some spiritual sort, it's like business friends. We're friends. Oh, really? Until it comes to business, or until it comes to Pentacle, or until it comes to investment, and then you bailed. But they've been watching you all along, and now they're coming back being like, hey, but they're in the reverse. They keep things close. Not that that's a bad thing, but I would be mindful, because you're the one who put the work in. You're the one who got yourself to this 1 to 6, or this, I don't know where the F I'm going, suddenly recognition, tall ships. For some reason, I'm here. That came through my own personal reading. But for some of you, and then look, 6, there's a boat. This person's on a boat, and they're moving to calmer waters, or they're just moving to a different place on the sea or on the lake. This person is steering it. These people are following along. There's some bags in that boat. It's like taking your resources, taking your ideas, taking your stuff, and moving it with you, with your nearest and dearest. These are probably dependents. These are people that you look after. These could be your parents. These could be your siblings. These could be your kids. Double 6 here, though, my friends. There's a major shift around your sense of success, and also your sense of clarity. Your sense of success and your sense of clarity, because that's what helps you move forward. All right. Hey, Michelle. How are you, my lover? Divine guidance and loving clarity. This is the thing as well, with these internet channels that we're engaged with. I'll say it again. I'll often go there, but genuinely, if you're not digging on something, just change the channel. Rather than taking our energy to put someone down, or to like tell them what they do is stupid, or like, that's a waste of your personal energy. And I could say it's a waste of mine, but this is my channel. This is the work I do. This work brings value to the people that I work with. I don't think it's some kind of masterful plan. I don't think it's some kind of ultimate medicine. These are just flimsy little cards. They don't actually have the power. You have the power. But to use our power to go around telling people that they're this, that, or the other, that comes from a negative place, really that's a negative place within self, that the self projecting that probably wants to work on, rather than, because it's your own stupidity that you're projecting onto the world around you. None of it's good, right, wrong, bad. It just is what it is. I'm just a fellow human reflecting something to you that clearly you don't like. But, as somebody long time sharing on the internet, I'm just tired of the hatred and the vitriol and the trolls and people, like, even as a small content creator, the amount of hatred that one can receive astounds me. Like, you know, like, just people being downright horrible and mean. And I just for a while there, I would try to hold space, actually. Yeah. I would try to find compassion and forgiveness and allow everybody all the time, like trying to have this really um inclusivity, right? And now I don't see it that way. I see it as resonant communities. I see us as diversifying into lots of different tribal or resonant communities. And that's all it is that there's no trigger. I don't mind. The cards can be stupid, the cards can be beautiful, the cards can be whatever you see them as, right? I love them. I love working with crystals. I love working with cards. I love being out in nature. I typically I don't particularly personally think of things and stuff as an an adjective or adjective. I don't, things are just things, they're neutral, right? If anything, it's us that can be a little bit dumbfounded or a little bit shocked or a little bit stupid or a little bit weird, right? So, mind your energy. Mind your energy as far as what we project. Nice. Pooh. Hi. Okay, I'm going to start to wrap it up because I've gone on quite a tangent, quite a little rumble. Are you ready to rumble? Hey, cat. Yeah, and I think when you align with it, they do. And that's the beauty of it. And why none of us here need, somebody telling us how silly it is. I think you're right. I don't know. I don't so often, like, it's like I don't want to be hard or rude or harsh. At the same time, it's um integrity. I'm finding that in my personal reality as well. It's quite dynamic because I'm increasingly unable to lie. It's just, and people are either shocked, horrified, um like the weird political correctness of societal norms of small talk and randomness and how we're all expected to behave and brush things under rugs and live in denial and all that. I just can't do any of it anymore. I focus a lot on the work so I can express my authentic truth, and then I keep to myself and a very, very small little circle of friends who have been around in my life for over a decade now. Because I'm an immigrant, right? Well, technically, I'm a resident of a different country, so I'm an expat of Canada, and even being an expat, being a foreigner, even though I look like the British in a certain sense, and my ancestry is from these parts of the world, people still have other energy, as in, I've experienced a lot of that, of like, who are you? Where are you from? Why? Especially since the Brexit and since there's been more immigration propaganda and a lot of a kind of undertone of us against them. That's again via the mainstream news propaganda. Remember that we're being programmed. It's not the truth, it's not real, it's not anything but some weird agenda and narrative that whoever's making those news stories, they want us to be like, fight. And I, again, all to love, I'm like, if you find the unity, if you find the love within self, you shine that, and that light and that love from within yourself can see the nuance and the degradation of that propagated divisive narrative. And it's really a sense of like, oh, I wonder if we can control. Sometimes I don't even think it comes from a deeply malevolent place from the controllers. I think it's a kind of stunted aspect of our human evolution, and it comes from a place of fracture and fear. Oh God, we have to control the people, or we have to kill the people, or we have to take the land. It's all coming from this very deeply insecure, worried, almost like an existential primordial fracture within the psyche. And then in this weird narcissistic reality, it's only psychopaths and sociopaths that can actually achieve any kind of great success because of what's required of us mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally. And that's the ticket. It's the emotions, you know. Once a child's fractured, it's like the demons in the Northern Lights. Once a child's energetic is fractured, they're then masking. You know, the younger we fracture them, the more they'll kind of mask to fit in. It's and actually that's why for myself and all to love, why I'm looking more to our indigenous cultures, our Native American cultures, right? The people who had connection to the land, that's who we need. We don't need more mainstream shopping. We don't need more like fancy $1 million brands. If anything, you know, like people before profit, my lovers. Planet, planet before profit. And I mean, unfortunately, it's not like I have anything against people living well and having good stuff. It's the truly, truly on an ecosystem of which we were a part. This weird little layer of profit. What is that? Where does that come from? It's like so much of this so-called profit comes from enslavement, oppression, stealing. It's like I just stole a bunch of the world's resources. Now I am all powerful and I can lord those resources over you, and you are all slaves and you must work. Work, 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 work. Come on, Riri. Come on, Riri. Why don't you help some brothers and sisters out? Like one day, more people will have awakenings, and lots more of those people will be multi-bajillion, nillion, and hala 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 heirs, and they'll just give their money back to the people where it belongs, and so that those people can have access to the air and the water and the shelter. Like there's no reason any of us need to be homeless. There's no reason any of us need to go broke. There's no reason any of us need to not have a safe and wonderful home. Something went wrong, I don't know, wherever. It's not even like it went wrong. It's just swung one way and we're like, no, 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 no. You know, or yes, go to that polarization opposite and then come back to center, my lovers. I take myself super seriously. I am a guru of a Hatha meditation vibration. I spent probably too much time on my own, but I gotta say, sometimes you just gotta love what people say about stuff. Just step on them. What else are you gonna do? You know, I just go my own way. I mean, it's just you can go your own way, go your own way. Come on, people. We can do this. We can work, 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 work. We can work the love train back to a place where we're not raping and pillaging the earth and one another. Yay! Imagine a world where instead of directing all of our resources into things like war weapons, why? But so imagine a world where instead of funneling all of our finances and enslavement into war weapons, we were just focusing on sharing things and caring for one another. Sharing is caring. Instead of getting together in our little groups and making the weapons and then trading and selling the weapons and killing and fighting and dropping the weapons and then making people pay for those weapons, and like it's like illogical and totally insane. Like it's insane. Like the world leaders that are all like you're like, guys, we see you. We see what you're doing. Some of us have been seeing it for too long time. And we're literally just like out here waiting for everybody to see. And we don't even have any hatred for leadership. It just is a very neutral perspective of it is what it is. And like quite a few are juvenile men who are deeply wounded and highly psychopathic and narcissistic, thus will embody imperialist fascist mindset because they're insane. most of us, me, you, the colors of our skins, the amounts in our bank accounts, we're nothing, okay? We must all unify in our nothingness. And in the reality that the large majority of us are enslaved. We are enslaved. Some of us have more privilege within the enslavement system, like myself, because of the color of my skin. Who? But it is what it is. Let's not deny it. And even my like the social economic background, just slightly more privileged than some other people. I'm not going to deny it. At the same time, I'm way not as much as some other people, and gosh, I feel it. Like I feel it as far as like that edging, that working, that work, just to get ahead, just to make ends meet as far as what is a dreams. But then I started to realize in these last few months, I've manifest my dreams. It's just taken way longer than I anticipated back in 2012. And then because it's taken way longer, like where am I? What am I? You're like, you've upgraded your storage unit. You've got your own place and work is going well and da-da-da-da-da. You're like, and you work online full time. Oh yeah, that's what I set out to do. I just thought it was going to happen back in like 2015, not 20. Although it's been happening slowly, but I was in such burnout survival mode that it's literally taken the last like year and a half just to like somewhat get back to center. It's fun living in these human bodies. There's a lot of limitation. There's a lot of tension within the experience of living in a human body. And I think for some of us, what we're doing here is accessing much higher vibratories. And what I experienced was that the high vibratories are real and exquisite and like, fuck, man, if everyone could line up with those. However, listen, friends, sit down on your school bench. Listen, or don't frolic about, maybe have an ear open. But burnout, if you don't have, which I didn't, if you don't have enough support and you don't have like a home and stuff and simple things that a lot of people I realize do not take for granted, but in my reality, I took it for granted or literally just didn't have the awareness to realize how important that was. And then burnout. And then often is the case in my experience when I've been most vulnerable, and like burnout being one of those times where I was most vulnerable, is like almost like when the vultures come in. You just get picked at by the vultures who are trying to use you and abuse you. And you're like, oh, fuck. Shit, am I going to survive? And then you rise like the phoenix just to keep doing what you do. Like, I just didn't stop doing what I was doing, regardless of the vultures and regardless of the disparity and regardless of the depth of emotional pain and grief that I was in and all that, you know. Go back 2019, 2018, 2020, 2021, 2022. I gave up a long-standing addiction for 9 months and then back at it. But I continue to look and be honest and fairly transparent about my own addictive allures. And I think because I stopped drinking over 10 years ago and was highly addicted to alcohol, I'm aware that addiction and relief from addiction is possible and it's very real. And yet there's a commitment to your own healing and a positive, healthy expansion. But then within that, for me personally, it was like literally just chipping away, plugging away, implementing the better, implementing more of what I wanted, believing that I could have more of what I wanted. And then eventually all that stuff kind of trumped the old. And before I knew it, I didn't want booze anymore. And I still don't, thank God. You know, because I have friends, obviously, and people who partake. It doesn't seem to affect them. It was clear to me early on that it was affecting me. Plus, I have addictive ways, so it's like I wasn't somebody who just like started drinking and then would go out at the weekend pretty quickly. As in, by the time I went to uni, I was drinking every single day. I remember dating somebody briefly and they're like, so you just like drink? And I'm not talking about like I have a glass of wine with dinner like a civilized person. I was having like a bottle or two, you know, like just to deal. Just, I don't know, just to cope. Plus I had this weird kind of spiritual ego that was like, fuck it. We're going to live this life and we're going to fuck up and we're going to make mistakes. But Only because as well, my formative years, like in high school, I was so disciplined and austere and regimented. Like after a while, that just like you can't maintain, or maybe some people do maintain it. I don't know. I couldn't. So I kind of polarized. I swung the other way and did all the boozing and the drugsings, and quite quickly was like, I don't think this stuff affects me the same way it affects other people. Like I would always black out. Yeah, black out, waking up in horrible, like dangerous situations, having dangerous, horrible, near death things happen. And meanwhile, society is like, just drink responsibly. I'm like, I don't know how. I don't know how. I was somebody, and still to this day, I relay this information to people is that I could have like one night I could go out and literally have like 12 pints and be good to go. Another time I could have two and be blackout. So big part of my thing with regards to substances, etc., is like you have to know you're safe. There's a sense of creative fun and exploration within self, and I'm not judging. There's no right or wrong. I don't think there's like the good stuff or the bad stuff. You're a unique individual, but I kind of could suss that I don't. My body and psyche and spirit or whatever, it was like, MJ, hi, you're not going to be able to control this. You're not going to be able to regulate this substance. By that, I mean, I wasn't going to be able to control from one day to the next, or depending on what time of month it was, how one glass of wine affected me one day and how one glass of wine affects me another day. And because I couldn't control how I was going to be impacted, we're done. Yeah. Don't, and like honestly, I've never, like maybe once an occasion, although they have some really nice non-alcoholic beers, including Heineken. If you really have a craving, you can have like a non-alcoholic beer on a sunny day or whatever. But like, I don't have the desire. I don't want to get drunk. I have no desire for that. Um, as in, I can remember Marianne Williamson talking about this. It was like the pull, the compulsion, the desire, right? Like it didn't call to me. I don't, I genuine, and I still, and I'm thankful. Hallelujah, hallelujah. I'm thankful every day. Especially I started teaching yoga at music festivals, and I'm not gonna lie, there's something very smug and wonderful about being a previous partier, going into party environments joyfully, being able to have a great time, dance, party, whatevs, go to bed, 1 o'clock, whatever, wake up in the morning and feel pretty juicy. Feel pretty fresh faced, and then walking around a music festival where you see the state of everyone and you're like, oh man, I don't miss that. I don't miss that at all. Yeah. My also from Alta Love's perspective, I genuinely just wish we lived in a world where none of us had to commodify and sexualize ourselves. I don't have a judgment. I I honor it. I get in our shitty systematic world that both men and women have to do things that compromise their integrity, and I wish it wasn't that way. I've never felt comfortable doing that. Even broadcasting here, I've had sometimes a bit of cleavage showing, and then I've had random internet people like take pictures. It's just I'm not into it. And I don't I have as much compassion as I can for the multi variety of human expression. Personally, I think our bodies are super duper sacred. I think how we engage with our sexual energy is absolutely sacred. And therefore, personally, it's kind of traditional monogamous and sweatshirts and hoodies. And yeah, I'm a human just like all other humans, and I'd rather not commodify one another, um, and sort of make what is sacred less sacred. Not that that's not people's perspectives, right? But um, yeah, I just don't really. 12 times. Well, hey, you can count the amount of times, so methinks we're doing pretty good, isn't it? Ooh, I'm sorry. I'm suddenly not really liking on these messages. Cut, there we go. Okay, nice one, you guys. My apologies. Vultures have like the best sense of, hey, Chris P, how are you? Vultures have like the best sense of smell. Do they? There again, it's the sacred in all, right? It's like that. I'm thinking of like their sacredness in all form, depending on how you're looking at it. But yeah, there's a symbolism of kind of death and rebirth or decay. Vultures eat death, right? They eat things that are dead, but then like, you know, there is that very, again, sacred kind of like cycle. Everything is dying. All of us are dying to a certain degree, aren't we? Look at, I'm gonna finish some of the cards I pulled here, you guys, because you know how there's a success card. Let's go back there. This is actually really gorgeous reading. Success card, moving to calmer waters, and then you're moving right into Nine of Pentacles, self-made energy with the Two of Cups. So this is super juicy. This is like maybe meeting somebody at work, or like finally getting your reward, finally maybe having a bit of a breakthrough financially, especially if there's some kind of recognition, fame, success that comes in. It could be that through that fame, success, recognition, you're suddenly making a lot more money. And maybe for some of you, you fall in love. Although, let's be real, I think increasingly, generationally speaking, we're dubious of love. Love is not what we were sold, right? As far as like the relationship stuff, I'm realizing increasingly the people that we're magnetized to from a kind of romantic, engaged relationship perspective, certainly any of us on a healing journey, it would appear to me that those people are purely attracted in because there's more to heal. Around your own empowerment, around your own sovereignty, around your own ability to love. And then the way we can commit to that love at some point in our autonomous spiritual journey, it maybe we find that person that wants to walk alongside and also be in their regenesis, and that some of us might be lucky enough to have certain people walk by our side like the whole time and not do dirties and not, you know, betray and all that kind of shit. But who's to say? Who knows? Plus, I see this on the cards. I see it coming through. The Star card and the Hanged Man reverse. So there's some sort of illumination coming in that is leading you to a dream and wish fulfilled. Star upright. It's coming in. It's coming in for sure. Because this Hanged Man reverse, you're being released with all the money and all the love. It's coming out of nowhere. So sorry, you're not going to be able to expect this. And then the outcome here is like illumination and healing and then wish fulfilled. I like it. We're going to leave it there, you guys. Check out the daily readings. Check out the shorts. Feel free to share the channel, like the channel, subscribe, support small businesses. You can check out the merchandise line, which is all of my own creation. Station. Pardon. I'm still working out a kind of Shazam cold from the holidays. Look after yourself, my lovers. Don't forget that you're your own master. You're the one with the power. Me, cards, other people out there in the world and the internet, no power over you. Let's all unite in our magical independence and sovereignty from a place of love and unity, so that we can all deserve to be here and we can all have the basic needs met, so that we can all thrive in a kind of more creative way. La Shazam. Have a great day, my lovers. I super appreciate every single one of you. See, this has been great, you guys. You guys are so fun. And, it's one of those things. I'm getting a little bit better at just getting rid of those comments that start to feel a bit icky or targeting or weird or hatred and stuff. I am getting better, and so often is the case that we get some people who are moderators here. For those of you who are new, hi. Thanks for being my internet friends. Yeah, I know, right? Seriously, having like internet friends and people we relate to, I think helps a lot of us. That's similarly been my reality as far as like just engaging with different content that I really resonate and feel on the internet. And yet my personal like physical reality is like super quiet and yeah. No, there's not like I'm not a social butterfly at all. I have like two friends, which I love, like, and I love them, and then I have enough kind of like, yeah, it's integrity, isn't it? And I often feel bad if I don't have enough to give someone. Have you ever done that? Meet people and then like friends who have like really high expectations, and I'm like, I'm not going to be that friend for you. I'm sorry. I just like to be honest, and then people will not. They'll butterfly around until they find their other butterflies, right? I'm sort of like I don't know. I was gonna say a moth, but I'm not. I guess I'm a butterfly too. I'm just not looking for other butterflies at the minute. Because I know everybody's out there anyway. So we're anyway. Blah blah. Ooh, I didn't quite realize. I Are you on TikTok? I listen and engage with a teacher called the Yushwani, and uh I'm increasingly aware that a lot of us, I think, from this really like loving perspective, or simply because of me watching some TikToks, I've become aware that, like, according to the diagnostic, world, I'd probably be have some spectrum of like autism or whatever. But it's only because of like at this stage of life, and I'm watching this content, and I'm like, oh, I do that. Oh, I do that. Like I have hardcore pattern recognition. Even the brand Ultra Love and like sustainability, spirituality, freedom, that was like my spiritual awakenings, and like tracing a thread of seeing all the different layers and problems of the world and being like, well, okay, like if we change this, if we change that, if we target that, if we that could make a positive headway in more positive change. And um all these years later, I'm realizing like there's a certain, like, a lot of people will just have cognitive dissonance if I talk to them about the brand or talk to them or what I do. It's because they don't, their world is so different, right? And I've been on this sort of like renegade master, like change the world, make it a better place for you and for me and the entire human race, thinking that everybody was on board, and then I'm like looking back and there's nobody there. I'm like, I've gone way, 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 way too far out. So now we're back and we're just doing the dailies, and I'm just kind of just doing what I've done for a long time, like yoga, walking in nature, trying to budget my money so that I can like have a holiday once a year or something. Oh, sweet, sweet coffee. I do love you, but not as much as I love you guys. It's questionable, actually. I don't. I just, because it's not my responsibility. You're your own responsibility. That's a big shapeshifter, I think, for me. It's probably why I have the power to delete people that are kind of hitting up against the chat in a weird way. Was like having, and that's another neurodivergent, apparently autism thing, is like seeing the problems, and it's more of a traumatized, parentified daughter, but genuinely thinking that I have to change, like that, like it's my responsibility. I gotta save the world. I gotta make the world better. With this sense of mission, like my own personal life force didn't matter, and just give and just have the mission, like love the world, make it. This would be. And I realize now a lot of that is actually wounding. But even that, I think, can be good teaching for people because nobody can take all that on. Nobody's like, this is fucking crazy, right? Just be myself and polarize people and hopefully trigger people into maybe questioning their existence a bit more within the paradigm. And what I'm talking to is like the old paradigm, the false paradigm, the illusion of separation, where we're all separate and our bodies are separate and we're just these meat suits that need to be controlled by an external force. And that external force is actually like a dark demonic force where we're like, go towards the light, move towards your own inner light. This is very possible, certainly with these cards. Oh, you guys are the freaking best. And right now, we're all crew. I love you all. Have an awesome day. Hey, same. 6-7. That was after the divorce. That was pretty quick. And like, I think some of the earlier trauma happened before 6 or 7 even. I was only able to excavate some of those early memories. And it's fascinating when you go back to your 3-year-old self or whatever, and you can see the like soulful wisdom. Even if it's a little innocent and childlike, there's a soulful wisdom being like, it's part of where we get this pattern recognition and empathy. It's that soulful wisdom of the inner child, right? Or the child that was traumatized into essentially being who we become until we're ready to take the hand of that little broken child. I love you. And I do. My little inner child is very serious. Even when she plays, she's very serious. And I'm so like, oh, I'm sorry for denying you. I'm sorry for not listening. I'm sorry for shaming you, all this kind of stuff. And she's a serious little bean, but she'll still get out and skip. And she'll still get out and kind of dance with the animals and stuff. But like, you know what I mean? Like her essence is like a serious kid. One of those kids who feels like a 45-year-old or 70-year-old. You know what I mean? Those little kids that you're like, why are you so old? That's my inner child. She's, it's all love, but hey. Ooh, I need to do a little bit, probably more research into Mandela effect. I've heard of it many, many, many times. And I'm thinking of the butterfly effect, or just that kind of, those also a mandala, like those images of perfect sacred geometry. Check this out. I got my hair cut back in October, and it's pretty badly uneven. And here I am being like, MJ, spend the extra money, go to a hairstylist, and then ends up cutting it way shorter than I wanted and lopsided. I mean, I'm going back to the same hairstylist, but basically, like, don't touch my hair with scissors. All hairstylist ever, unless you're going to take literally this much off, don't touch my hair. You put a little blonde in it to cover the incoming grays, but don't cut my hair. One day I'll sort this out, okay? But we need this side to catch up with this side. And then also, I'm going to end the share, you guys. Thanks again. We're going to keep this up. We're going to keep doing the occasional live share. I also do a weekly exclusive reading for my Patreons, so you can join the Patreons account. Patrons get ad-free first access to the month ahead all signs readings, which I don't always put onto the public mode. And I guess the lives, I'm just being guided to the lives to engage. And so far this year, there's a lot more uptake. There seems to be a lot more just like straight engagement, and I'm feeling a bit buffered with regards to trolls and hatred. And of course, a lot of that is the protective energy that this amazing community provides just by being. I'm sorry, Kat. I'm sorry to hear that. We have a mutual community friend who also lost their mom just over a year ago. So there's been a lot of grief processing still. Oh, really lovely to see you all. Kat, let's all give a big virtual hug to Kat and her mommy. It's funny because when I had the reading recently, loads of like the ancestors came through, and the psychic kind of reminded me of the infinitude and eternity of our souls, and that she was almost referring it to like death is just a sort of transition into a higher vibrational state of being where you can like jump around and be in different timelines, but you're in the infinite now. And that's why from a mediumship place, the like these ancestors and these people who have left their human body, they come through in the quantum field because they're infinite, you know? And of course we're infinite too, but it would appear that if we get too attached to this physical senses and this separation world, like we forget where we come from, which is that infinite eternal space where all the dead people are. And they're not really dead, they just left their human suits, right? So yeah, it's like that. Shartikan, yeah, big time. Hi, doctor. What? Another big crew member. Holla Shazam Scott. Ugh. As in, like, doctors, yeah. And I think this is a continual evolution of the negligence of the medical system. Although, to each their own and non judgment. But we're in some, radical times. And unfortunately, I think people that were in, from old paradigm perspective, people that are grappling for their power, it will be perhaps a bit of a messy unfolding. People are holding on to their power and their control, but the ego is dying. There's too much love. There's too much love and wisdom now. It's like, I see you, baby. Shake that ass. Sorry. I'm done now, you guys. I can't go on. I'm just going to take the piss of every 5 seconds. Feel like making love. I don't, but I'm sure somebody out there in the world does. I'm going through a bit of what's that word? Celibacy? I'm going through a bit of a phase and I don't care, So or maybe, who knows? Maybe one day you just get over it all and you don't have any desire for this anymore because you're too busy like this. I'm a boss, playing with my birds of prey, um, anyway, looking after myself and the people I love to the best of my ability. That's about it. If I could do more, I would. That's part of the plan, make a bajillion trillion dollars so you can just make homes for people and give it all away for free, because it actually is. Money is an illusion, right? All right. But discern around that, right? There's uses for it, but our true soul and the light within us is always the most valuable, priceless thing. So you can't like put some thing, attach it to the value of your eternal soul. Imagine trying that. We'd all be trillionaires and the military war complex wouldn't exist. Anyway. Ooh, 2016. That's like a very relevant shift of timelines, I would say. Thank you for the reflection. Everybody, you guys are radically awesome. And I love you all, and I'm mega appreciative, and I'm getting to that point where I really feel you. I dig on this community of friendship. I love you guys. Look after yourself, and have a wonderful day. Thanks for being here.